they would reach in with a gigantic claw-like instrument and grab the stone right out of your bladder. As you would imagine, there were a couple very important parts of the operation. The most important were the two assistants that would hold you down while you were screaming to prevent you from running out of the doctor's office. And more than likely, it was not done in the doctor's office, it was done in your own kitchen table. So, interesting. This is a ivory-handled surgical set, American, from the 1830s. It's extremely rare. I have a number of really, really unusual rare things. And what I'm trying to do is put together a really fine museum for the history of medicine. What we're going to do next is we're going to go downstairs because this museum has 2 floors and it is modeled after the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia. It's kind of a similar layout. So we'll be there in a minute. Well, we are on the lower level of the Armentières Museum of Medical History now, and I want to show you a couple things. First of all, if you can show the beautiful grand staircase that we built, which brings you down to this lower level, which has a few things. One thing I got to show you over here. This is one of the most important parts of the place. This is the home theater. You know, I had to figure some way to entice my wife and kids to come into the museum, so I built a home theater with this incredible 12-foot screen up here, so we get to watch my Philadelphia Eagles lose in grand scale, so that's a great thing. Let me show you a couple other little things we have here. This is a whole bunch of bleeding bowls. These are pewter and silver and all sorts of unusual devices for capturing the blood that they would let, and little surgical kits from the 1700s for doing that. These are all bloodletting kits, all sorts of devices, crazy things, including some in solid silver. So you had to have a really fancy bloodletter to use a device like this. It would have been pretty expensive. Just to show you a cool piece of art over here, this is a barber surgeon. This painting is dated 1679, and it is an old master, and you see them cutting a nice little boil off the guy's forehead, and unfortunately the next guy waiting in line doesn't look like he's feeling very well, so that's not such a good thing. He knows what he's in for, maybe. Here we have a little skeleton to teach the bones of the face, because every museum needs one, and this is a nice old dental cabinet over here. I have a large collection of dental instruments, including all kinds of tooth extractors and drills and mallets and all kinds of horrible things from the 1700s that would have been used to drill into your face. And some of these are really quite rare. I mean, I could obviously spend hours talking about my collection, talking about the things I've seen, the museums I've gone to, the collectors I've met. Just there's such fascination with the history of science and medicine. I think there's a great story to tell, and I can talk for hours on the history of medicine and every little kind of device that we have in here. One of the cool things that I want to show you is the secret room. Every man cave needs a secret room. So I decided that as we were designing this place, I would put something special in. So let me show you the hidden doorway. You ready? So, what we created is a totally hidden room. And the reason it's hidden is because I have my office back there. I also have some sort of hidden stuff back there, you know, like a full-size naked wax lady. You can't really put a full-size naked wax lady on the marble floor in the middle of the thing. Actually, she started there, but we ended up, you know, you have kids come to see the museum. Not a good thing. So why don't we go in there and we'll take a look at that. Well, here we are in the secret underground lair of Dr. Doug. What we have is a full-size wax anatomical model of a woman who died essentially because she had a pregnancy that was outside of the uterus, called an extrauterine pregnancy. This is a wax teaching model that was from about 1880. It's German, and it's sort of the same manufacturer as that wax head that we started out with up top. But it's incredible detail. You see all the little fingers on the fetus, the intestines, the omentum. It's really tremendously detailed, right down to hair. This was taken from death, from an actual person. It looked like she was quite young, maybe 20 years old or so. This was from a collection from a medical school in Europe that was ultimately sold, went on a freak show throughout Europe. A family had all these wax models, and it was one of these step right up 25 cents and you get to see a naked wax lady. Eventually that was broken up and sold, and it was sold in the same auction as my head upstairs, but I bought it from someone who bought it at that auction and had it shipped to the United States. Kind of a pricey endeavor, but I thought worth it. I want to build all kinds of great cabinets around here. I want you to come into a side room here now. This is where I document everything in the collection. Essentially, you got to do the research on stuff. So I have a large collection of books that I look stuff up on, and these are just the latest things that have come into collection. This is a pair of OB forceps that were used to pull a baby out. Kind of scary device. Here's a nice little CDV of a soldier from the Civil War with both his arms ripped off. Do you have this here? Okay. Yeah, okay, very cool. And this is something that's just, you know, too cool for school. This is a tobacco enema. They used to believe in the 1700s that if someone was a drowning victim, that blowing a little smoke in their rear end would actually resuscitate them. And that is where the expression blowing smoke up your ass came from. And it's a well-known fact, and there are some great old engravings. What they usually did, and I have a set like this, is they used bellows. They would have tobacco smoke and they would use bellows to blow smoke in your rear end. But this one is extra special. This one actually gets you even closer to your patient, because this goes in the butt, but it's a blow-it-yourself device, okay? So you would actually blow on this end. So you would resuscitate someone from drowning by manually blowing smoke in their ass. And I really think that is something special. I had to demonstrate that, so I couldn't help. All right, now we're going to look at one more part of the museum. One thing I wanted to add is that in addition to being a physician, I also got my MBA recently. And that's because I'm very interested in the business of medicine, but also the business of antiques and buying and selling them. And I really have enjoyed negotiating with lots of people over the years for their great treasures. What a lot of people have found is once they hear about this great place and they see it, they sort of want their stuff to come into the museum here. So I've been able to be really selective about really buying the best quality stuff I can, and I just love dealing with people and learning about what they have in their collection. So just briefly to tell you about a little bit more, this is that tobacco enema set over here with the bellows where they would pump it into the patient, and I have all sorts of unusual surgical sets. This is for ear, nose, and throat surgery. Here, why don't you take a picture of this photograph in the back there. That's a woman kind of with a frog neck there. She has a major thyroid problem that they couldn't treat in the 1800s. So I just sort of try to tell the story of what some of these ear, nose, and throat instruments were made for. Not so good. Up above you see more leach jars up here, blue and white and all sorts of great leach jars. You can never have too many leach jars. Now, this is the women and children section. So what do we have? We have vaginal speculums made of iron. That does not look particularly comfortable, or at least that's what my wife tells me. This is a special speculum here for applying leeches to the cervix, so that's kind of an unusual thing. And one of the more rare things that I have is something called an anti-onanism device. And that's this device right here. You want an oddity? You've got it right here. This was actually a device that was put on young males to prevent them from, well, you can fill in the blank, what you can't do with this kind of device on you. And interestingly, there was a lot of anti-onanism